On today's show, what's wrong with the Los Angeles Lakers? LeBron James looking human. The Timberwolves not looking soft as hell anymore. Let's talk about that and all the games on tonight's slate on tonight's Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
And welcome to your Locked On to NBA Game Night. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being in every day or making Locked On NBA your first listen. Today's episode is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use that code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. And joining me, as always, from Locked On Bucks, what'd you see in the NBA tonight, Camille Davis?
I saw why LeBron deleted his social media for the moment. I can tell you that.
He's been off. He's been off social, and he's been off three-point shooting. So maybe he's got to get back. He's got to get back in these Twitter streets. Maybe he's got to. Maybe he's got a skeet in Blue Sky. Apparently, that's what those are being called. They're not tweets.
Change the name.
That's what they're being called.
You got to change the name.
4 games in the NBA tonight. We'll get to them. We'll talk about the Bulls getting a win in Brooklyn. We'll talk about Atlanta getting a win against their old friend DeJounte Murray and proving that maybe they've got the best of that trade. We'll talk about that one. We'll also talk about the Boston Celtics. Ho-hum, yawn. More threes for them. Another game of 50-plus threes. And then let's start here, Camille. The Minnesota Timberwolves rout the Los Angeles Lakers 109-80. The Lakers, who their defense had been the problem for them. Going into this game, they were 7th in the NBA in offense and 24th in defense. It wasn't the problem with their offense necessarily, but in this one, they just could not get anything going, especially with LeBron James. Let's hear from Locked On Lakers host Andy Kamenetsky about the Lakers' loss in this one.
And the Lakers lose 109-80 to the Timberwolves in Minnesota, absolutely unable to get any offense going. Other than D'Angelo Russell, no Lakers scored more than 12 points, and during what has been a very rough patch for LeBron James, this may be the worst game during that stretch. 10 points on 4 of 16 shooting, 0 of 4 from behind the arc. He's now missed 19 straight threes, 4 assists against 6 turnovers, and to put this in perspective, heading into the fourth quarter, LeBron was minus 18 for plus-minus. The other 4 starters were a minus 20 combined. Sometimes plus-minus doesn't tell the entire story, but in this particular instance, it told you a lot.
Oh, that was a rough one. It was a rough one. LeBron barely got over his 10-point per game threshold that he has to get to keep that streak alive. And JJ Redick called the white flag with 7 minutes and 41 seconds left in this game, Camille.
I know why. They weren't going to do it. They weren't going to get it going. Like, the shooting from the Lakers in this game, it just was abysmal. The fact that AD can get you 12 and LeBron gets you 10, with how this team is constructed, that is not a way that they're going to win games. Like, the Lakers rely on AD and LeBron to be who they are, who they have been historically. So on a night when they're cold, everything else is off.
Yeah, they just didn't get it. It has to start with those two, and then it trickles down to everybody else. And it felt like it started with D'Angelo Russell tonight, and then tried to trickle down. That doesn't necessarily work in this one. And the Lakers look small in this one. The Timberwolves are not as huge as they used to be with, Cat, Naz Reid, and Gobert, but still the Lakers, just Anthony Davis is their only center, really. You got 7 minutes of Christian Koloko just as the, in garbage time. No, Christian Wood is obviously still out. Jackson Hayes is still out. And it's just Anthony Davis, LeBron, and Rui Hachimura, the only big wing guard, centers in this game for them. They just looked really small. They couldn't get a lot going. And the Timberwolves really took advantage in a game where, on the Timberwolves side, we'll talk about it, but Anthony Edwards really didn't do a lot in this game. This was just the Lakers, to me, it just felt like they lost this one more than Timberwolves actually went and took it.
They did, and a big part of it, too, is the turnovers, right? We talked about, we heard 6 turnovers from LeBron James. That is very un-LeBron James, more turnovers than assists from him. The Lakers had 21 turnovers on the night as a whole. It's really hard to get an offensive flow when you're constantly turning the ball over, having possessions ended. So, them getting into rhythm was off, but I read something earlier that pointed out that LeBron and AD on the court The
Yeah.
Lakers have been getting outscored with the two of them on the court. So, like, there's been questions around the rotation, but if there's questions around the two key pieces, like, where do the Lakers go from here?
They've been getting outscored by 6.2 points per 100 possessions on the court. And when they're on the court, their defense is 120 defensive rating. That is brutal. Like, that is so bad for those two guys. They've got to figure that out. They're 2-5 in their last 7 games. Their losses, though, are to Minnesota, Orlando, Denver, Phoenix, and OKC. So they're losing to these two bad teams. So I don't know if you want to really like panic too much if you're the Lakers right now. They just got to get some things right, and their offense is just not great. And then obviously LeBron missing 19 straight threes. Like, there's just some things that will eventually the ship will right. And but JJ Redick was asked about LeBron James playing every game because he wants to play 82 games this season. And JJ Redick said, quote, "I think we're measuring players and we can tell if a guy is running hot or whatever. He does a remarkable job of taking care of his body and getting recovery. Quote, I don't know if that's in the best interest of him and us if he plays all 82 games. But if he's feeling well and feeling good, we should play. We obviously want to manage that as best we can." Camille, should they play LeBron 82 games, or is JJ Redick saying, yeah, you know what, maybe we should just sit one of the greatest players of all time?
He's definitely doing the slow, fast mumble real quick, like on the low. Like, no, I don't know if it's a good idea right now for us to be doing this right now. Like, I know you might help me get this job, but I don't know if it's the best thing for it to do. Because, I mean, let's be real. Like, the man's turning 40 this week. And the fact that he has been able to carry such a load for so long is impressive. But all of this was contingent on like AD being the main guy. Then LeBron can be the secondary star. You're not supposed to have that much on his plate at this point. So it's tough. If you want the best LeBron, managing his minutes to get him to that finish line is going to be of the utmost importance.
And they've tried for years to get that third guy. I mean, they went after Kyrie a bunch. I think they've been in on a bunch of different players. And the Kawhi thing, going all the way back to Kawhi with the Clippers, and they were really in on that. They've tried to get that third guy and just haven't found that player yet. It was Dalton Connect for one night, and then they haven't found anybody else to fill that spot. It's tough going for the Lakers right now. But you go over to the Timberwolves side, and the Timberwolves, it was really rough for them. They were 3-7 in their last 10 games. And Anthony Edwards said, we're soft as hell. 2 games ago. They've won both the games. They had a 1-point win against the Clippers and now this big win against the Lakers. What did you see from the Timberwolves in this one?
I saw that the Timberwolves found a way to get it done even when Anthony Edwards didn't have it going himself. Like, in a night where you see Lakers versus Wolves, you're thinking you're going to see a lot of Ant-Man, a lot of Brown, a lot of AD. And it wasn't that. Like, in this game for the Timberwolves, it was a lot of the others. Like, it was an efficient offensive game from Rudy Gobert, who had 17 points. Like, you don't say those words often. And that's what you got in this game from him. You had Naz Reid making a contribution off the bench. You had Alexander Walker coming in making a contribution. You had enough guys doing enough things. And on top of that, they had a 3-point advantage. The Timberwolves knocked down 15 of them, while the Lakers only got 6. So that's a math problem in of itself. So the Timberwolves took the right shots and made enough of them to get the win in this one.
And you got to give the Timberwolves defense credit. They've been the 20th offense. They're like the opposite of the Lakers, really. They are the 20th offense in the NBA, but the 8th defense, because so far.
Yeah, but the defense has been biblical so far.
That is their assistant coach, Mike Inori, with the soundbite of the night, because I can't get enough of that.
Yeah, but the defense has been biblical so far. We've give it and take it away at both ends this year, so hopefully we can keep going.
I don't know. There's something like Larry the Cable Guy-esque that he like how he says.
Yeah, but the defense has been biblical so far.
It's a bar low key. Yeah.
It kind of, but the defense has been biblical. Their defense was good for all the crap we're giving the Lakers and their offense. You got to give the Timberwolves defense credit in this one. They were able to get some stops. Nasri got a block on LeBron. I texted you. I was like, it's really sad to see LeBron getting blocked and airballing threes and things like that. But Rudy Gobert was good on offense. He got a couple of like breakaway. He got a breakaway dunk. He got a couple in the half court of like spin around and turn and get some dunks there. They got efficient, shots from 3. Dante DiVincenzo 3 of 6. Naz Reid hit a couple off the bench. Nikhil Alexander Walker hit a couple off the bench. Mike Conley was feeling like Mike Conley again. 3 threes for him. And you just got really efficient offense. 18 points for Julius Randle too. You got all around, and Anthony Edwards, he didn't really look super engaged or involved in this game, really, but they got it done in a way because I think it was their defense first, and then they got just enough points to make it happen.
And defense was the identity that they leaned on so much last year. So looking to see them try to get back to that is good for the Wolves, especially after the Ant-Man calling everybody out, saying they soft, they front runners, and hearing Alexander Walker come out a little bit after and talking about those comments from Anthony Edwards. And he just mentioned, like, we kind of miss Kyle Anderson. Like, that was our vet who was the voice in our locker room. And now this is Anthony's first year of really doing this and being that leader for us. So he's figuring it out too. So for them to get this kind of big win on a night where he didn't necessarily contribute much, but he was there cheering his teammates on, even when there was garbage time, once, guys are getting dunks and he's on the sideline flexing for him, just seeing the energy there. Like, you can tell, like, they're coming together at a time where they could be breaking apart.
Yeah, they could be breaking apart, but
the defense has been biblical so far. We've given.
Coming up, let's get into the Boston Celtics and Miami Heat. Is the rivalry over for these two teams? Heat fans are waving the white hot Heat flag. We'll talk about that and more coming up.
Count it up.
Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. All you have to do is go to Prize Picks and download the app, create an account, and then you can pick 2 to 6 players and more or less on their stat projections. You can do all kinds of things with Prize Picks. Right now, you can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks, and you can play in a bunch of different states too. My state of Texas, you can play this, California, Florida, Georgia, the line between them. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money on sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50. It's guaranteed. When you sign up, all you have to do is download the app, use that code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app, use that code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Also brought to you by one of my favorites. It's Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code to get $20 off your first purchase at Game Time to go to concerts, theater, comedy, shows, all kinds of different things. I've used it for all those things. I've used it for Dallas Wings games, and Keith Lee told me when all the Dallas Wings games are going to happen this year, and I appreciate that. And so now I'm going to use Game Time to go to all those games that he told me about today in their schedule release. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Use the Game Time picks. They curate it to make it easier to save on sports, comedy, concert, theater, all that kind of stuff. Use the all-in pricing feature. I use it every single time I use Game Time. I go on there, turn on the all-in pricing feature. It shows you exactly what you're to pay up front, so you don't have those hidden fees or anything that show up at the end. And you go, man, why is this $140 when I thought it was just going to be $80? Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA, being it every day or listening every day. We have a daily Locked On show that covers your team. Check the link in the description to find a show that covers your team every day. We also have a newsletter for all those shows as well, lockedondaily.com, and you can find out that newsletter every day. Got those Locked On Mavs one, Locked On Bucks one, all that. Let's get into the next game. We've got the Boston Celtics and Miami Heat. The Celtics get a win. Another one where they're hanging around, and then the Boston Celtics just run away with it in the second quarter. Let's hear from John Corrales from Locked On Celtics.
Boston Celtics, Miami Heat both look like they were on the back-to-back. I think just the Celtics are a little bit of a deeper team right now, and they had more chances for somebody to not look like they were on the back-to-back. Luke Cornett was that guy with 6 block shots, tying a career high, fueling a Celtics defense that took advantage of Miami struggling and shut them down. 89 points allowed is great for the Celtics. They put up 108, not their biggest scoring performance, but Peyton Pritchard and Jaylen Brown did what they had to do to carry the offense until Derek White had hit a few shots later in the game. Jason Tatum, just a horrible game. I don't think I've ever seen him pass so poorly, but the Celtics didn't need him to be his best to get this win. Like I said, on the back-to-back, they'll take it however they can get it.
John Corrales bumping it over
on
the floor at TD Garden for John Corrales. Another game where the star player, this time Jason Tatum, doesn't play well, and the team still gets a win. Tatum, 18 points, 11 boards, 4 assists, 6 turnovers, and shot 7 of 21 from the field in this one. But the Boston Celtics, they do what they do, Camille.
They're inevitable. It's like you can feel like you're gonna make some hay there. Like there were a couple times in the game where it's like, oh, here come the Heat. They're chopping that lead down. Then nope, here comes another quick run from the Celtics to put the game away. Like they're inevitable. And then the fact they just shoot so many threes It's a huge math problem. 55 threes taken by the Boston Celtics, making 19 with Peyton Pritchard coming in and doing his thing off the bench. Let me just really quick, Peyton Pritchard. Because years ago, he was talking about, I think I want to get traded. I want more playing time. And then you see what he's doing off the bench for this team. Like his last 4 games, he had 25 this game. He had 24, 29, 20. Like the man has been hooping over the last few games for the Celtics.
He just got a bunch of guys traded is what he did. Hey, we need to make some consolidation trades to move me up in the rotation. The Celtics, 50 plus threes tonight. They now have one more game of 50 plus 3-point attempts than they did all of last season.
And they were shooting it at a crazy clip last year.
Yes. But this one is on a different level. That stat was from Dan Devine. I saw that one. And that was, they are just launching them at a different level. They're shooting, I looked this up before the game. Before this game, they're shooting 40 above the break threes. 40. The next closest team in the NBA is Charlotte with 34.5, and then Chicago with 31.5, and the Warriors with 31. The above the break threes, like they're just creating them in a way that nobody else in the NBA is doing right now. And tonight they did this without Drew Holiday, Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis, Sam Hauser, all take 5+ threes for them in a game. It's wild. It's wild what the Celtics team is doing. And on the Miami side, now the Miami fans are very upset with this loss. And let's hear from Wes Kohlberg from Locked On Heat about this one.
The Miami Heat got blown out in Boston to drop their second game in 2 nights and fall below season, and it is clear that this team just is not good enough. I'm Wes Goldberg from Locked On Heat. No Jimmy Butler in this one for Miami, who was out with a knee injury, but the Celtics were without Drew Holiday and without Kristaps Porzingis. They got just okay games from Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and yet they still blew the Heat away. This one was never close. The Celtics never seemed tested, and it's clear that the Heat's window has closed. Not only did they get blown out by the Celtics, but they've been left in the standings by the Cavaliers. They've been left by the Orlando Magic, just in their own division, and other teams in the Eastern Conference. Jimmy Butler's 35. He's showing his age this season, posting career lows in a Heat uniform in points, rebounds, and assists. Bam Adebayo continues to struggle scoring-wise. This team just doesn't have that edge anymore. And I know outsiders want to give Miami the benefit of the doubt, and I get that. But they really haven't done anything these last couple of seasons to earn that, quite frankly. It's too early to make dramatic changes to the roster right now, but those conversations might need to happen sooner rather than later in my.
I felt that in my soul when he said the Orlando Magic have passed us up in the standing. There's something about the team that's always been bad in your own state that starts to be better than you. And you're like, the Miami Heat, is the title window closed now for them?
I mean, yeah. If somebody who's covering the Heat says like, hey, outsiders, I know you want to give them the benefit of the doubt because the Miami Heat always seem to find a way, but this team ain't got it. Like, I'm going to trust that because from what I've seen as well with this team, it just doesn't seem like it's going to connect all the way. Like, I applaud Jimmy Butler for coming into the season with a renewed focus, talking about how he wanted to play more games after Pat Riley's pointed message in the offseason after that Celtics series that the Heat lost, and Jimmy had some comments. But like, I don't know if Jimmy's body can hold up for that type of grind at this point anymore. Like, I know he wants to, but I'm not sure if his body can.
To be fair to my friend Wes Goldberg and David Ramil of Locked On Heat, they did not believe in the team in 2023. I remember listening to them as their channel manager. I listened to a bunch of their shows going into that final run, and they did not believe in that team at all throughout the end of that regular season. They go into the final, they go into the playoffs, and then like round after round, they just kept winning and almost to their surprise. So there is something about this team where they just don't look good, and then all of a sudden they can turn it on. I just saw the Mavs play them the other night where Jimmy Butler can just come in and turn it on, and all of a sudden you have that guy, and he changes the game for you. Jimmy Butler didn't play in this one, neither did Jovic or Love. They were on the second night of a travel back-to-back against the Celtics, who just create an insane math problem advantage. Maybe the rivalry is over for these two teams because the Celtics are just so much farther. But I don't know if I'm done with this Heat team because I just don't think we've seen it all get put together yet because of injuries and because of just inconsistency overall.
As someone who covers the Bucks now and who has watched a lot of Bucks games, I personally will never want to count the Heat out after what they did to the Bucks 2 years ago in the first round.
Right.
Where Jimmy Butler just became Michael Jordan, and it was like, what do you do when he's hooping like this? So like, if Jimmy is healthy, there's going to be a shot for Miami. But the question that I have is just like, can he make it there?
The thing is, Bam hasn't taken that step forward, right?
No, he hasn't.
I came on this show and did the whole Bam is better than Domantas Sabonis thing, and I was like set on it. And then Matt George of Locked On Kings went on this, I think did like a whole episode about how that's incorrect and how I was wrong and all that. And guess what? I was wrong on that because Bam has not taken that step forward this year. He seemed a little bit more aggressive in this game, 18 shots, but he just wasn't hitting in this one. And if he had added a 3-point shot, like a consistent 3-point shot, added some go-to moves or things like that, and taking that step forward offensively, maybe this team, but they just haven't added the right talent around them for Bam to not take that step forward and them to think that they can keep winning like they have been.
Yeah, and I mean, and this game is one where Jaime Jaquez, he had a good game in this one for the most part. He didn't shoot well, but he still finished with 19, and they didn't have Jovic in this game. And those are two guys who haven't been playing up to their normal standards for this team. So on a game where you don't have Jovic and then you have Jaquez and he made 19 on 14 shots, like he got there eventually, but it was difficult for him. Had the rebound, had a couple of assists, a couple of steals. Like they're going to need more than just Jimmy and Bam around them. Like Tyler Hero was getting his shots up, 19 points on 19 shots, but they're going to need more from the others in addition to those main guys being healthy for them to have any chance of climbing out this hole.
I mean, talk about the Lakers trying to add a third guy. The Heat have tried to add a third guy for forever, and one of those is playing up there with you in Milwaukee.
Yeah,
they tried to get him. Coming up, let's get into the last two games of the night. Let's talk about the trade, the Hawks Pelicans. We get to revisit the DeJounte Murray trade. The Hawks feel better about that one, and we'll talk about the Brooklyn Nets as well. A couple other in play. Count it up. Let's do that and more coming up.
Count it up.
Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by BetterHelp. Everyone has things in their life you need to talk about, you need to work through, you need to work on different strategies. If you have anxiety, you just always have that pit in your stomach where there's just something in your life that you go, man, I just, if only I had that thing removed, if only I had that situation, if I only had this thing figured out, if I only had this, if I only had this, that's it. That's anxiety. And that's something that you need to work through and talk through. And you could do that with therapy through BetterHelp. Go check out BetterHelp. See, if a therapist is right for you and see if there was a certain therapist that you vibe with. You can change therapists at any time and for no additional charge. I liked that when I used BetterHelp because I didn't vibe with the first person that I was with. And then the second person I did. And I like that. So find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, Camille, a couple more games. Let's get into the Pelicans versus the Hawks. The Hawks get the win in this one, and the Pelicans were without a bunch of players in this one. Zion, Ingram, Herb Jones, Jose Alvarado, Jordan Hawkins, all out again in this one. Second night of a back-to-back for the Pelicans, and the Hawks got this win. Let's hear from our friend Brad Rowland of Locked On Hawks.
Hello, friends. My name is Brad Rowland. I'm the host of Locked On Hawks podcast. The Hawks get their fourth consecutive win, holding serve on this Monday evening, taking care of business against the New Orleans Pelicans and DeJounte Murray's first game back to Atlanta. The Hawks were not very good, quite frankly, in this one. They were playing an overmatched opponent, which allowed them to win this game. They were good inside the arc, 74 points in the paint for Atlanta, and defensively they did play it pretty well, but offensively it was pretty brutal for most of the game. Trae Young struggled badly. The Hawks couldn't make a three for most of the night. Ball security was an issue, but in the end, the Hawks held serve, and look, 4 wins in a row is 4 wins in a row. That's the takeaway from this one for the Hawks. The schedule is more difficult later this week with games against the Bucks, Lakers, and Nuggets, but Atlanta is back.
Great. I don't care about the Hawks. I don't care about the Hawks schedule after that. Sorry, Brad. Seems like the Hawks are okay with the trade. In this one, DeJounte Murray, 7 points on 2 of 15 from the field for the Pelicans. And then Dyson Daniels, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 4 steals for the Hawks. I think if it was just those two players, I think the Hawks are okay with this trade after the season so far.
I mean, I think when DeJounte got to Atlanta, one of the thoughts was like, you have your defensive stopper in the backcourt there. And I felt like while he was in Atlanta, the defense slipped a little bit for him while the offense kind of picked up. And you get Dyson Daniels in there, and the way he has been attacking defensively has been outstanding. Like, he has been a true defensive stopper for that Hawks team. And on top of that, he's giving more offense than I think most people would have expected from Dyson Daniels at this point as well, which helps out so much, because I was texting you during the game, like, I feel like Trey Young passes up some shots, just
Yes.
and he's so pass first, or he's passing up looks, but he's making sure that other guys are getting looks. Like him and Dyson Daniels took the same amount of shots in this game.
Wow. Yeah, we're used to the Trey Young 30 points, put up a
Yeah.
bunch of shots, take a ton of threes, all that. But this one, 12 points, 5 of 16 from the field, 15 assists, 5 turnovers. He was a plus 20. He's taking 2 less shots a game and almost an assist and a half more per game this season. He's really decided to become more of a playmaker, and it showed in this one. They had all 8 players all 9 players that played for the Hawks had between 8 and 22 points. So they were almost all in double figures, which is crazy. They had 74 points in the paint. They were just really getting it done for the Hawks in this one. Great one for them, and it was good to see Trae Young's new approach seemed to work for him in this one. Let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets and the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls get the win. Brooklyn Nets lose and are missing a bunch of players. Let's hear from Adam Armbrecht about the current state of the Brooklyn Nets.
No sooner had the Brooklyn Nets won 3 straight on the West Coast, including a game against the Phoenix Suns and Kevin Durant, did they come back east and lose back-to-back games against Orlando and follow it up with a loss 128-102 at the hands of Chicago. This is a shorthanded roster, obviously, in Brooklyn. Extended absence right now for Cam Thomas. You also did not have Cam Johnson. You also didn't have Dorian Finney-Smith. You also didn't have Noah Clowney. The list goes on and on. A return, though, to the court for the first time this season in Day'Ron Sharpe, a good sign for the Nets long-term, but also just a reminder, this roster is going to struggle to keep pace with most NBA teams, especially when they're depleted like this. This now marks 3 straight games where they scored 102 or fewer points, and they struggled again from beyond the arc, hitting just 33%. But a bright spot, as we always try to give you, Dariq Whitehead, who had injuries last season as a rookie, who struggled to find any sense of identity, has played well in the G League, gets the call-up, and performs. 24 minutes, 6 of 11 from the field overall, 6 of 10 from deep. So while the losses are piling up at 9 and 13, we still look to the youth and the development for Brooklyn as the season.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about, Brooklyn Nets. This is the Brooklyn Nets we expected. Now, they were missing, like you said, a bunch of different players, but this is the Brooklyn Nets team I expected to see.
It really is. It really is. And they had some guys that were out there being able to put some good stuff on tape for when the Brooklyn front office is like, hey, it's a trade deadline. We got to make some more moves, because honestly, this team has been playing above expectations at this point, even sitting at 9 and 13 right now. A pretty decent game tonight from Whitehead. Claxton came out there, did his defensive thing as well, got some points up. But when you just look at this team as a whole, this isn't a Nets team that is being designed to try to win things. On the flip that side, you see the Bulls, and it's like a team that also is in a weird spot, because it's like they're not contenders, but they're not bad enough to tank. They're kind of right in that middle. And in a situation like that, with a team middling against a team that's expected to be in the lottery, this is the outcome that one would expect.
I've got 2 counted ups that I have to get to today. So count it up, where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA.
Big chicken, baby. Zion Williamson and porn star. Take that from that.
Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up.
Michael Scott of Hoops Hype posted a, who's going to get traded in the NBA, who are the trade candidates in the NBA article today, a bunch of different quotes from different people. One of them really caught my eye. He said, quote, an anonymous NBA executive was asked what he believes Zion Williamson's trade value currently is. And he said, 1 first-round pick. My question is,
Count it up.
which teams would talk themselves into Zion Williamson since it's only 1 first-round pick?
One first round pick feels criminal for Zion, even with all the injuries. But there will be a lot of teams signing up to try to take a chance on Zion for 1 first. That's it. That's what we think and get it done. I think a lot of teams would be banging at the Pelicans' door.
Sam Presti would look at that and be like, you know what?
I can do it.
I'm good for it, right? I'm good for it. Let me hold a first, Sam Presti. He's played just 6 games this season so far. He played 70 last year, but 29 the season before that. Didn't play the season before that. Then 61 the year before that, and 24 his rookie year. I mean, he just has not played, and that's one of the reasons why his value is so low. So I get it, but I think there are some teams that would talk themselves into
for sure.
If it was only a first round pick. And also, you got to think about his contract. It's kicking in, where he's gonna make 36 million, 39 million, 42 million, 44 million starting this year, and then throughout the rest of that contract.
It's the talent. It's that talent that's so tantalizing, where it's like, I'm willing to take a risk, because you might think it's always like the teams that are like, it could be us though. Like I know it didn't work out here for these reasons, but
we can fix them.
We could fix it. Like our medical team is better. Like we got things in place. We could do this. Like a team would definitely take a shot on Zion.
I think they would, but that just really stood out to me. And then again, it's an anonymous executive, so they say crazy things all the time. But last one here. Scottie Pippen has been on one lately.
Oh boy.
On Twitter. This week he posted an insane AI image of Elon Musk in a Bulls jersey, and he asked how many titles the Bulls would win with Elon Musk playing, which launched a million different tweets from a bunch of different people. But tonight, the one I want to talk about, he posted an AI photo of himself and Michael Jordan on one side.
Okay.
And two of the Tesla AI robots. Have you seen these that like are supposed to be able to talk to you and move? Like Kim Kardashian showed a video of her one in her backyard and they were doing stuff with it. And he posted the caption, who would win in a 7-game series? Bulls versus AI.
Come on, Scotty.
My question is, do we need to check on Scottie Pippen? What's going on? What's going on over there? We need to send a wellness check over.
Immediately. I don't know where he's living. They got some legal ooh-wee that he is on right now because come on, man. We saw the robots try to shoot. They can't even shoot. What are we doing here, Scott?
There is that one robot that was shooting against Lethal Shooter that was actually like, have you seen that one where that robot was, but that's not the same as Tesla robot.
The way that Jordan would smack that ball out that robot's hand, like we're not doing this. He'd leave that robot in pieces on the floor.
Do you think we could feed the AI the Jordan Rules book? Do you think you can feed
the
it that?
robots just file as hard as they can.
They just start learning from them. Man, we gotta beat the crap out of this guy.
That's how they will win. That's the only way.
Oh my gosh, Scottie Pippen. I don't know what he's been on. He's been on one lately.
He needs to put put it down. I don't know what's happening, Scotty.
Move over to Blue Sky, Scotty. Move over to Blue Sky. It's nicer over there.
No, he can't be skeeting over there. We don't need no Scotty skeets. No Scotty skeets.
And with that, we take Locked On NBA Game Night full circle back to the beginning. 4 games in the association tonight. That's what we got. Go check out the Locked On NBA show that covers your team every day. There's a link in the description. And guys, check out Locked On NBA with Doug, Hayes, and Matt later today. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA Game Night. Boom.